Hello, everybody. My name is Jorge Torres. I'm the CEO at MindsDB, and I'm here to talk to you about AI that works at work. Turnkey, private. What does this mean, AI that works at work? Well, over the past 2 years, we've all been introduced to an incredible new technology. The capability for computers to understand human language. And this capability is very powerful, yet not so powerful at work. Because without access to your data, it's practically useless at work. We understand that you can combine all the information that you have with these AI capabilities, and now you can make it AI that works for work. But it is a big challenge. It is a big challenge because there's about 30 million developers in the world, and only about 300,000 really know how to apply AI capabilities. And these AI capabilities change every single day. The improvements are so constant that it's just very difficult for any organization and practically every individual to keep track with the things that matter. And it is impossible for organizations not just to tap into this talent, but also to understand how to implement these capabilities. But we understand that organizations right now are having success. They're having success building prototypes. They take a natural language model and they can ask a question. Within the question, they can also send the data that this model needs to reason on and deliver an answer. And this is great for a prototype. But this is not a real application. The data that the models need lives in many different data sources. Organizations have data all over the place. So we know that there is a big challenge. Organizations need something that can answer questions and understand natural language, but also can understand how to get the data from where it lives. And that is, of course, a difficult problem. It's difficult because it's not just one single moving part. It starts with an LLM, of course, but then you have to figure out how to guarantee that this LLM can talk to data. If the question is semantic, you have to figure out RAG pipelines and how to get data from where you have it and put it into this pipeline. If the question is parametric, you have to figure out how to guarantee that the LLM can translate your question into SQL plans that will execute wherever you have your data. And companies have data across many different databases. And then you also have to figure out how to reason across all of this information to provide a meaningful answer to the user in a timely manner. And if you manage to solve all of this, you also realize that putting these things into production is not an easy task. Not every single user has access to every single part of the data that exists in the organization. Different users have different access levels, and guaranteeing that that is respected in these applications is paramount. So we understand that there is an opportunity for us to package a solution that delivers this incredible amount of value to developers in a way that is very simple for developers. And therefore, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They just have to take a mind. It's a private turnkey system designed to answer questions from data for AI applications. That just works. I'm going to hand it over to my friend and colleague, Sydney. He's going to walk you through the journey that took us here, and also why this capability is incredible for every developer that is trying to implement AI capabilities within their application. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jorge. That was fantastic. Well, look, I'm really excited to have the opportunity to really share some more details about what our customers have actually been talking to us about when it comes to our Mind solution. So let's talk about some of the use cases. When we talk to organizations, one of the most common themes I hear is that folks want to be able to enable their users to have a natural language conversation with their data. And so there's 3 core use cases that we run into on a regular basis. It's all about conversational AI, but it's about conversational search, conversational analytics, and conversational triage. Let's dig into what those actually mean. So conversational AI search essentially supercharges your traditional search. Whereas you may be looking for specific keywords in traditional search, with conversational AI search, you're able to actually encapsulate the intent of the user. You're able to actually find the documents, the references that the user intended to find, even if they didn't use the exact wording or the exact phrasing incorporated within the document. And so we see a lot of organizations with large amounts of data that want to be able to expose that data so that people can make better decisions, be able to make better proposals, be able to leverage things like conversational AI search to be able to solve that problem very elegantly. On the analytics side, we see organizations that have large amounts of data that they want to be able to surface metrics that help people answer questions and, again, make decisions. And so, for example, you may be a warehouse manager that wants to understand what are my out-of-stock products, and by the way, when will those be back in stock, and what amount of revenue is potentially at risk as a result of not having these products in stock. Or I may be a sales rep that just wants to quickly understand which open tickets or open service calls my customer has at any given point in time, as I'm on the road potentially even to that customer, and what's their temperature? Are they happy with us in general, or are they upset? And so these are the types of things that, yes, you could put together reports and dashboards to solve, but oftentimes the user will have to search through them. They may have questions that aren't exactly answered quite the right way. And so with conversational AI analytics, you're able to answer those questions, those ad hoc questions, anytime anyone has them. And then conversational AI triage is about offloading work. It gives people more opportunity to do more of the advanced and more of the difficult things. When you look at support organizations, typically, you'll find that a lot of the issues tend to be distributed, the distribution of issues tend to be weighted quite heavily towards some of the more simple things to answer. And so whether you're talking about internal users that are onboarding, or internal users that are using a new tool, or even external users who want a great support experience, conversational AI triage helps offload people, because now you can actually have your AI agent answer the more simple questions or the basic questions, while the more advanced or difficult situations or issues can be escalated to people to be able to handle directly. So MindsDB has two products at this point. We have our open source solution, which is a federated engine for accessing a wide range of data. And we have a new Minds product that packages it nicely and makes it very easy for developers to be able to leverage it. So let's talk about our open source solution. We're open at the core. We have thousands of GitHub stars, thousands of deployments, and we have a really great and thriving online community. This open source solution, at its core, is all about providing access to over 200 data sources and integrations. And we take all those data sources and integrations and make it available to developers through a single, unified dialect of PostgreSQL. So it makes it very easy for the developer to incorporate many, many types of data into their application. All right, so that's what open source does. Now, Minds extend upon what open source is capable of. So in addition to leveraging that PostgreSQL interface, we optimize that query. We've built this solution. We're very good at optimizing how that query happens. But we wrap it with all the other capabilities needed to be able to deliver this AI application. And so we deliver this in a single package, and we present it to the user or the developer specifically in a natural language interface, both for the queries that they send us as well as for the responses we present. And Minds are private. We put a lot of energy into making sure that not only in our own cloud can we ensure that organizations have access to Minds that only access their own data with the level of permissioning that their users demand and require, but whether organizations want to be able to leverage Minds in our cloud or in their own clouds, we want to make sure that privacy is foremost to what we're trying to accomplish. And we're not only building privacy into our own Minds, but we're also leveraging partners to be able to extend and enhance the privacy that we're able to offer. And so with that, I'd like to welcome Mark to the stage. Mark from Nvidia. Thanks, Mark.
Good to meet you.
So Mark, I'm really excited to have you here to talk to us a little bit about what Nvidia is able to offer when it comes to privacy, and even beyond that. We talked about Turnkey, we talked about private. There's privacy, there's performance, there's scale, there's all these things that Nvidia can bring to the table, and so much more, of course.
Yes.
So on the privacy side of things, can you talk to me a little bit about the types of things you're seeing from organizations that you talk to, enterprises? What's on their mind, and what are the types of things Nvidia is bringing to market?
So first is, does the actual compute allow me to do sort of that type of confidential computing? So in modern GPUs, you can get sort of physical isolation of the GPU for specific applications. And what's kind of nice is you can run multiple applications per GPU with full isolation down to the hardware layer. So that way you get that cost benefit of having a single GPU or a single set of GPUs and having multiple applications run on them. So that's been going on for a long time. On the LLM side, it's sort of protecting either the users from getting access to particular data. So there are different types of guardrails that you can do. You can do guardrails when a query first comes into an LLM, so you can block certain things from a query even being made to your system in case you're paying for it, et cetera, et cetera. And then when the query comes out at the end, you can protect from PII and different types of things like that. On the retraining side, when people are continuously training these models, oftentimes they're downloading fairly large data sets. And in order to clean those data sets, you have to make sure you scrub that for all of PII, in addition to any other type of sensitive data that exists. So we have a lot of different software that can help you accelerate that, just to essentially compress those computational workloads.
Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, I know privacy, especially when working with data, is top of mind. So just knowing all these capabilities are there is really important. So maybe let's switch topics to performance a little bit. That's definitely top of people's mind. People love geeking out about how many tokens per second and all that kind of stuff, or how many flops. What are you guys running into when it comes to performance, and what are your customers asking about?
So performance is, we sort of live and breathe that every day, and performance comes from many levels. So there's performance on the hardware level, so the actual numerical precision that you're using to represent the math of an LLM. This is both representing the LLM itself as a model. So an LLM model is just a bunch of numbers that will do a bunch of matrix multiplies. In addition, when you send a prompt in, that becomes a matrix, and you're doing a bunch of matrix math. So there are numerical formats like FP8. So most models exist in FP16, right? So FP8 is half that size. So if I have a Llama 8B model, it'll occupy 8 by 2 is 16 gigabytes of FP16 memory. That's how much GPU memory you've occupied. If you divide that by 2 to get FP8, now you're occupying 8 gigabytes of memory. So I have a whole 8 gigabytes left for tokens and serving a bunch of different users. What's really exciting, when you get to Blackwell, that'll be down to FP4. So now 8 billion parameters is actually just 4 gigs on a GPU. Outside of that, the things that people measure are time to first token. So how long does it take me to get the first sight of something coming out of LLM? Second is the total request latency. How long did I take to finish the actual request? And then your tokens per second, or your total number of requests per second. So we're able to compress the model, get it really fast, get that math to work a lot faster, and take advantage of both the cores and the memory on the GPU in order to speed up as many tokens as possible. And you have certain cases where you can actually split models up across multiple GPUs to get even more speed, depending on what it is that you're trying to do.
Excellent. And I know that when people think about quantizing models, they're also thinking about or concerned about quality of the responses.
Oh, yes.
And is that something that you guys are seeing folks concerned about, or are you seeing more acceptance of? Do you have any perspective on that?
Yeah, so we released NIMs. So think of NIMs as optimized models or optimized engines, or what they're called. And essentially what we do is we try to compress the numerical precision and rewrite the actual algorithms that are running on the GPU. So we literally take a transformer architecture and almost rewrite it in optimized blocks in order to get much faster speeds, but that same type of accuracy. So any type of NIM that's put out, it goes through a ton of different accuracy checks for its higher precision sort of formats. So we take that very seriously. So that's one thing you can kind of count on, is with the lower precision like FP8, you'll still get the same type of accuracy that you should expect at higher formats. That's why a lot of people, they like the H100s, the H200s, and they're really enjoying it so far.
Excellent. Yeah, when people are, especially for us, when people are asking questions of the data and making decisions, they definitely want that assurance that quality is going to be there. So it's good to know you guys have your eye on the ball there. On the scale side, I want to talk a little bit about what you're seeing from organizations when it comes to the number of applications they're deploying. Do you see people still kind of in the onesie twosie range, or are you seeing folks that are actually starting to deploy AI applications at scale?
So you have the natural full spectrum, but I think everyone will start internally deploying internal use cases and having their internal trusted team members really flesh out the quality of the LLMs and the different applications that they're running. Once they get past that stage, then they start looking for what's the next highest impact use case that I can go, and it's typically a customer-facing use case or a revenue-generating use case, and you're seeing folks start to really scale some of those use cases in production. And the way that they're sort of going after that scaling is by increasing the number of nodes of GPUs that they're running, so that they can get a lot higher traffic coming into the system. In addition, when you split models across GPUs with tensor parallelism, you're able to maintain that almost real-time response to the user. So there's actually a lot of customer-facing use cases coming more and more. And then I think next year when you see Blackwell, when you drop down to an FP4 GPU, that makes it even more cost attractive for a business to run very large-scale consumer-facing applications.
Very cool, very cool. Well, look, there's one last question I have, and it's a little bit of a curveball. Sorry, I apologize, but I don't know what I don't know. So what questions should I be asking, or what are you excited about that's coming down the road when it comes to NVIDIA and generative AI?
I think the multimodal realm that's going to come is going to open up so many doors, both on image, video, sound. Everyone has different types of data inside of their business, and reasoning over this type of data is not something that was possible before. I'm personally very excited to see both traditional LLMs and multimodal LLMs find their place in personalization. As these models start to learn to align to brand consistency and adhere to all of the brand guidelines, then you'll actually see them really take hold in the marketplace. And then the other one, I think, is just a general literacy when it comes to Gen AI, and people getting accustomed to it, and people getting really focused as to the value that they can drive. So I usually recommend to people that they should at least deploy one end-to-end Gen AI application so that they can prove they can do it in the business. And then when they see a use case out there that they get excited about, then they can accelerate that to production.
Very cool, very cool. Well, Mark, I really appreciate you stopping by today. I want to thank you for joining us and sharing the wisdom with us.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you.
See you.
Well, look, that was really exciting. Really happy to have had Mark join us and talk about not only privacy, but more about what NVIDIA is able to offer, combined with some of the solutions that we're putting together to make AI really come to life for organizations. So really excited to talk about what's really at the core of a mind. Obviously, turnkey and private are really, really important, but what is it that we actually do to answer the most difficult questions that organizations have? Well, that's what it's all about. Minds and the TCO engine, as we call it. When you have a mind interact with a person, that mind first needs to be able to understand the intent. It needs to understand what that person's actually trying to accomplish. That's the thinking part. That thinking part continues through, it needs to create a plan for how to actually take that request and turn it into some action. It needs to figure out where the best data source to service that request will come from, how best to formulate a query specific to that data source, how to provide the right calculation to make sure it puts the information together in a coherent way, and present a response that actually matches what the user is actually looking for. And so all of this packaged together is what a mind does at its core. And it's a very powerful solution to be able to answer some of the most difficult questions organizations have about their data. But don't just take my word for it. I'd love to be able to show folks exactly what a mind can do in real time. So I'd love to be able to show you guys a demo of a conversational search application that we have. And I'd like to ask for a little bit of help from my friends. I know you guys are joining remotely. Are you guys there?
Hey Sydney, we're all here. Hello to those that are joining us on the live stream today. We have a couple of exciting demos lined up for you. I'll start by introducing the team. I'm David, a product manager here at MindsDB, and on the call, I also have Martina, a software engineer, and Zach, a product designer. I want to congratulate not only Martina and Zach, but the rest of the wider team that have worked really hard on delivering the roadmap for this particular launch. Alongside our development, we've also been working with some great customers lately, one of which is SureBet Jobs, who are enabling AI conversational search in their enterprise app. This app creates value for recruiters and candidates by leveraging referral behaviors to accelerate time to hire. Think of this as time to value. The vision is that customers can ask questions in natural language about real-time market trends and get accurate answers back from private data sources. Building AI applications that need to securely access proprietary data at scale is complex. When we spoke to SureBet Jobs, they shared concerns about the time-consuming nature of integrating LLMs, embedding models, vector databases, and connecting all of their downstream data sources. For the proof of concept, they worried that the team would burn through endless hours setting up connections, configuring tools, and also wondered if fine-tuning models along the way was something that would need to take place. So now I'm just going to pass over to Zach. Zach, can you demonstrate how we managed to address these initial concerns?
Thanks, David. Minds make this way easier. Minds abstract away a lot of the complexity of working with downstream databases, vector databases, and all the complexity of large language models. Working with a mind is simple. You just create a new mind, give it a name, add a data source. In this case, I'm going to use a demo database, but you can see we have a number of supported data sources here. Enter your connection arguments, and then click Connect. It's really as simple as that. One of the really cool things about Minds is that you can tell the mind what data you want it to respond to and have access to. This is the list of tables that are connected to this demo database. So for example, if I had personally identifiable information here and I wanted to exclude that from the mind for privacy reasons, I could simply toggle on these boxes or toggle them off in order to hide that data from the mind. I click Continue, and I've now connected this data source. Create, and here's my first mind. You can see on the left side here the response from the mind. Hello, I'm a demo connected to the data source that you just connected. How can I help you? So now you can have a conversation with your data in natural language. So for example, if I wanted to know what are the top 5 regions with the highest paying jobs in my area, there it is. And here's the mind's response. You can see that it's responded in plain English here. One of the things that's really cool about a mind is if you look on the right side here, you see this tab called Thoughts. Thoughts give you some transparency into how the mind is actually working. Things like reasoning, chain of thought, reflection, and if you had any errors that you needed to debug, they would be shown here in this log. This makes working with a mind really easy. Minds are interpretable and transparent. But if working with the GUI isn't your thing, there's also a wonderful SDK that Martina can walk us through.
Nicely done, Zach. This provided an easy way for the less technical subject matter experts at SureBet Jobs to experiment with prompts when querying proprietary data schemas. But this was only the start. A major factor for the project's success relied on leveling up the engineers to enable orchestration of the AI pipeline with an existing stack. And what about making sure all the answers are relevant and up to date, especially as the data is evolving on a daily basis? If customers experience inconsistent or outdated answers, this would be a major setback to the business. So let's take a look at how this can be addressed with another demo. Martina, can you take it away?
So I have pulled together a Python script that connects the data source and deploys the mind. Good thing is that Minds access data in real time, so we don't have to worry about manually updating it with new data. And also I'm using OpenAI's Completions API to interact with the mind, which is quite an intuitive way to do so, thanks to the OpenAI's well-known standards. So let's go ahead and run it. And we're going to ask a question that requires the mind to use not only its text-to-SQL skills, but also its Gen AI capabilities. What are the most common job requirements for marketing specialists? And here the mind analyzes all of the relevant job descriptions and summarizes the common job requirements, and that is the answer. Now, the Completions API is a good way to interact with minds, but the team wants to facilitate an actual conversation where the mind takes into account the context of previous questions and answers and essentially has its own memory. So we should go through the Assistance API. And here is another sample app that connects the data source and deploys the Mind first, and then we create a conversation thread and enable users to ask questions via a simple chat-based, console-based chat interface, which we can integrate into any applications later on. So let's run it. And let's ask a question like, what are the average salaries for jobs in the categories such as marketing, IT, and ML/AI. So what's happening here is the Mind uses its NLP capabilities to group all jobs into the 3 user-defined categories, and then it calculates the average salaries for each of the categories. So the task that would take a lot more time takes just a few seconds. Okay, let's ask another question that includes some more context, such as I make 100K per year as a software engineer. I'm looking for a position that will pay me at least 20% more. Which regions should I be looking at? And here the Mind analyzed the question and arrived at the conclusion that it needs to search for software engineering jobs that pay more than 120K per year. And here is the list of locations generated by our Mind based on the available data. And this is just the beginning of what Minds can do.
Zach and Martina, that was fantastic. Thanks for the demos. As Martina highlighted, this is only the beginning. We have a lot of exciting features and enhancements on the roadmap that will be coming very, very soon. And now, back to Sydney.
All right, that's fantastic. Hopefully you guys were able to appreciate not only how easy it was to deploy a Mind, but also the power of the types of questions and interactions it can actually have. And so with that, I want to thank folks for their time, but that's enough for me. I'd like to invite Adam Carrigan to the stage. Adam is our COO and co-founder, and he'll take you through the next section.
Hi, my name's Adam Carrigan, and I'm the co-founder of MindsDB. And true to our community heritage, we have lots of people online watching, and lots of questions have been coming about what we've been talking about today. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring up our VP of Engineering, Nirma Newbold, to answer some of those questions that are coming through. If you haven't asked questions, but you have any, please do ask them online. We've got a team of engineers waiting to answer your questions if they're not able to be answered here on the stage. Nirma?
Thanks, Adam.
No
Good to be
worries.
here. Love the book.
All right, so we've got a lot of great questions coming in. Let's jump straight in. So even though models are improving rapidly, organizations need to trust the answers if they're going to kind of make business decisions based on the answers that are based on the output. How do we minimize, or how do we prevent hallucinations?
Whew. No softballs to start. Let's see. So first off, don't pick up any strange mushrooms in the forest and eat them. But honestly, so we talked a lot about like pulling your data in and making AI really leverage your data to give you real answers rather than sort of a quote unquote hallucination. A hallucination is really just, you stuff a bunch of data into a neural network, and then it spits out a bunch of math and matrix multiplication. So without some kind of input to help it predict, you're really just going to get whatever it was trained on. So for us, to prevent against those things, and it's not even really preventing, it's more like giving you something useful. We pull your data in, put it into context, and actually tune the models so that they can give you reasonable answers on top of all that infrastructure that does so much magic with generative AI. And that produces really meaningful, useful results using your data. So a lot of things that go into that are things like in-shot prompting, retrieval, and I think one of the most interesting things about Minds is that it actually takes real-time data from your enterprise data sources and incorporates that into one of those systems. So hopefully, you won't get kind of imaginary numbers when you try to ask it questions as a result.
And so I think this is a problem that all LLMs face, whether it's open source, whether it's proprietary, even the latest models do have this issue. And so it's great that you walked us through what MindsDB is doing to help prevent and eliminate hallucinations.
Did you get a chance to try any questions with it yet?
Well, I mean, for the latest
yeah,
models?
we were
Yeah, it's pretty
impressive.
Around with it, it's pretty impressive. The kind of the reasoning and the thought process is something, as you said, that we've been thinking about for a while, and it's really good to get that kind of validation and whatnot. So, speaking of the latest model, Strawberry, I think, or 01 is what they're calling it. There's a question about this. So obviously, OpenAI just released this model only a few days ago. As these models get better, won't they be able to just do what we're doing, do this stuff?
I think the simple answer is yes, but also no. That's the real answer. And I think first off, what OpenAI does is astounding. They put a ton of research into O1 and the reasoning process that goes on behind the scenes. And actually, it's a huge validation of what we've been doing, where we actually do a very similar process. We generate not only SQL behind the scenes, but we generate logic loops and make sure that we're finding the relevant data for the questions that you're asking. And we've been testing that for a while. Some of our folks actually know the folks over at OpenAI, and we feel like this is the right path forward to getting really solid answers from your enterprise data. And while some models may be able to do this generally, we believe that having a really strong focus on enterprise data, on also enterprise workflows, so like companies that need to accomplish certain things, we'll have a really solid product that answers those questions much better than most other models will. And then on top of that, we get to take advantage of the hard work that folks like OpenAI are doing and build on top of those things to make our developers' lives easier. So as they improve models, we have benchmarks and test suites that will continuously improve on top of the improvements in models, so that the workflow that you're trying to accomplish, where you're generating answers from your data, will just get better and better over time. And maybe at some point we'll solve your math homework, or actually count R's in Strawberry.
And I think what you're saying there is that as these models get better, minds also get better.
Yeah, our minds, maybe not your kid's mind when they're doing their homework, but yeah, our AI systems or our AI minds will definitely get better and better and better to the point where I think they'll be very sophisticated at answering questions over your enterprise data.
And I think it's probably also very important that everyone out there is probably well aware that OpenAI is not the only game in town, and there are a lot of our the organizations that we work with want private.
Is that what Sam would say?
No, maybe not. Maybe not what Sam would say. But there's there's a lot of the open source models and a lot of the organizations that we're working with. To touch on the privacy, which has kind of been a big theme today. That people really want privacy in their systems, and so the llama models and whatnot are probably a better option for them. And so and this kind of feeds in really nicely to another question, and very relevant for today. It's that this person's organization obviously doesn't want to show up in the news for data leaks, right? Nobody wants that. So how do we ensure that kind of the enterprise data stays private?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think of the infomercials where you just slap some duct tape on a leaky giant bucket of water.
No more leaks.
That doesn't work for computers. I mean, first off, this is a software problem. It's not an AI problem. Companies spend billions of dollars in the industry, maybe, yeah, billions, in the industry to protect against data leaks, to clean up disasters after data leaks. I know it sounds like an oil disaster, but like truly, one single incident could cost a company tens of millions of dollars. So from our perspective, we know that companies have different levels of security and privacy requirements that they need. So for our cloud, we take security and privacy very seriously. We use the latest industry trends in encryption, in designing our products so that they're secure by default, and principle of least privilege. We apply a lot of these things to our cloud products so that we have something that our cloud customers can trust. But then, as I mentioned, some customers, that's not enough. A VPC might be something that they need for their compliance requirements, their security requirements, et cetera. That's an option. And then even further, we have the option of deploying an entirely self-managed system where that contains the LLMs, the embeddings, the reasoning loops, the agents. Everything can be deployed within your own data center, and that gives you pretty much the most stringent sort of control, which means that you have fewer sorts of concerns depending on your security posture. So that's something that I think we recognize at MindsDB, and we aim to support throughout a customer's journey.
And I think this is a theme we're seeing, right? That a lot of customers we talk to are super focused on privacy, and all of the things that we do in our cloud. Sometimes that's not enough. There are government contractors, government departments that are really heavily thinking and investing in AI. There's, no matter how secure it is, they just are not able to use cloud products, and so they either have to use a VPC or in many instances they have to do it on-prem. And the great thing is that MindsDB has that product that can work equally as well on the cloud as well as in a VPC and on-prem. So the options are available to organizations.
Yeah, and I will say, I don't want to speak poorly of cloud providers, because I think we work with a lot of great partners. Nvidia is one of those that also take these things very seriously. So definitely, evaluate the different cloud providers as highly trusted, and we use them for our cloud service as well. It's really just, also evaluate your security requirements, and we can fit into whatever that may be for you. So.
Fantastic. Well, we've still got lots of questions to get to. Unfortunately, we've run out of time here, but please keep your questions coming, and we'll get members of the team to answer them periodically.
We programmed all of our team's personal information into a Mind, so you can just ask.
It's answering the questions on their behalf.
Yeah. Womp womp.
All right. Damon, thank you very much.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure.
thanks, Adam.
Thank you all for joining us as we take this exciting step forward on our journey. Today is the culmination of a lot of hard work, innovation, and vision. We've designed this product with one thing in mind, and that is to make your AI journey as seamless, as powerful, and as capable as possible. We're on a mission to make Minds the go-to solution for the unique needs of the enterprise. Now, over the last hour, you have seen how we're enabling many of our customers to bring truly exciting use cases to life. Whether it's conversational AI analytics, AI triage, or driving innovation in ways that you never thought possible. The power of AI is transforming how enterprises work, and the Minds is at the heart of that transformation. Now, we've crafted our platform with a few key principles in mind, and I'd just like to recap those before we wrap up for today. So firstly, Turnkey. With Minds, you don't have to worry about the complexity of building, managing, and deploying AI systems. It's built to work right out of the box, so you can focus on what matters. Privacy. We're optimizing for privacy and security, ensuring that your data is always secure. And the AI is entirely under your control. In an era where data is everything, Minds offers peace of mind that is unmatched. AI that just works. Well, what does this mean? Well, it means you don't need a whole team of data scientists, department, or team to really deploy AI effectively. We built a platform that simplifies the complexity of AI so that your focus can remain on driving impact and not managing the technology. And we're not stopping there. We're taking everything you've told us, everything that we've learned, and pushing it back into the product. So we're consistently innovating to make sure that Minds can truly become the ultimate AI platform that will work with any data source, any model, anytime, any question. Now, none of this would have been possible without the extraordinary team behind us. So I'd like to call out the engineers, the designers, the marketers, the event staff, everybody who has helped contribute to this launch. It is your dedication and your enthusiasm that has made today possible. And to our customers and to our partners, thank you. We are deeply grateful for your trust and your collaboration. Not only are we inspired by your vision, but you have pushed us harder to make Minds better in real-world scenarios. So together we are unlocking the future of AI. As we look ahead, we know that this is just the beginning. The possibilities are truly endless. And we're excited for what comes next as we continue to push the boundaries of what AI can do for businesses everywhere. So thank you to everybody here in the audience and everyone watching at home for your incredible support during this journey. We can't wait to see what you build, create, and discover with Minds. Thank you.